Hello and welcome to this special interview with ThePrint. Today, we have with us Dr. Lior Asaf, the water attaché at the Embassy of Israel in India. Dr. Asaf is the first water attaché from Israel in India. He has a PhD in hydrology from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and also was a research associate at Columbia University. After that, he has about 15 years of experience in urban water projects before being appointed to his current position as the water attaché in July 2021. Dr. Asaf has completed his tenure and will be actually returning to Israel after this interview. Thank you for being here today, sir.
Thank you.
And to get straight into the conversation, as the first water attaché in India, what was your mandate from the government of Israel, and what were the challenges that you faced when you moved here in July 2021?
So when I was appointed, this is actually following a dialogue between the states of Israel, the government of Israel, and the government of India, following the visit of Honorable Prime Minister Modi in 2017. When it's brought up to the table that Israel and India have a very close relationship and a strategic cooperation in defense and agriculture, Honorable Prime Modi was request specifically that we will build another pillar of activity around the water sector. And Israel, yes, is well known for water innovation and water management. And we are a country that's not blessed with a lot of water. We only have less than 500 millimeter and most of the country is dry. However, we accomplished to be a self-sufficient country with advanced agriculture, with advanced water supply, 24/7 water across the country, and safe water for all. So my position was include to bring some of the knowledge and technology and base approach that develop in the Israeli water sector, and to establish here more cooperation on the ground with the federal government, with states government, and other agencies that are mandated and looking after the water sector in India. I think the first, lesson that I learned here is numbers and the scale are completely different. Where are you looking in Israel? We are a small country. We are less than 10 million people. This is about a suburb of Delhi. And where are you looking in India, that's becoming this year the most populated country around the globe, and the most, water consumption, that India today is using more water than the United States and China to combine. I think the scale and the challenges facing the India government to supply water to all sectors of agriculture, domestic supply, industrial supply, and nature is enormous. And I think there is a need to doing these things with sustainable approach. For me, coming here was after a very long working experience around the globe, but mostly on regional and states level. I did a lot of master plan for the states of Israel. I did a lot of water supply projects around the globe. But when you're coming to visual and working on a larger scale of the entire India, it's been a very big challenge. So I think the first months of my position here was actually to understand how the Indian water sector functions. Which are the relevant stakeholders? The Ministry of Jal Shakti, NMCG, the National Clean Ganga Mission, Amrut Mission and the Ministry of Housing, Agriculture and Irrigation Department. And I think the most challenging aspect is India is, first of all, the division between the states and the federal. And second is the way that the Indian water sector is built by silos. That means that you don't have integrated one water authority like we do in Israel. And therefore, there was a lot more, I would say, problem to understand how you manage the things around on the ground with a relevant stakeholder.
Fair enough. And being the first water attaché, when you arrived, You had a clear set of goals that you would have liked to accomplish during your tenure. Now, when you look at your tenure here, which is about 2 years, how much of those goals were you able to accomplish? I mean, what were your, say, two main goals, and how much of that were you able to accomplish here during your time?
So I think when you're looking on reform or long-term work around the water sector, this is a marathon, this is not a sprint. And therefore, what I think was needed, and that's what I was trying to do, is put some strategic approach. So far, the model that was for project in India was through Mashav, specifically looking in the agricultural center. But this center was mainly as capacity building focus, building and training farmers and people, stakeholders in the Ministry of Agriculture around best practices in agriculture. However, in the water, the aim was, first of all, to work with the government, and second is to work not only to train farmers, but to build the capacity building with the relevant stakeholder in the system. The other aspect of my employment here was to expand the Israeli company and firm in the water sector present here in India. So that's more looking on how technology and Israeli know-how can be brought up to the ground. And therefore, I was trying to build a program to set these targets. So there are several initiatives that we are doing here in India. The first project that I was already starting before my coming here was a project in Bundelkhand region, when an Israeli design firm called Pilgei Mayim is doing now a master plan and full design for 25 villages for water supply and agricultural combined. So this project was ongoing and we were supporting, and actually just yesterday we accomplished the last phase of this project, or almost the last phase of full design for a project that including a tender for establish water supply and agriculture in a valley in UP near Jhansi region. However, I started to work and we're on a few initiatives. The first was to establish water technology center. And the idea was to build and to set up a new institute that will work together with the government, academy, and the private sector. We choose two centers, one in north part of India, here near Noida, that will be established with support of the Ministry of Jal Shakti and the National Mission of Clean Ganga, and the University of IIT Roorkee. And in this center, we will train people and stakeholders in the government around the different courses tailor-made to the needs and priority of the government of India. In addition, we have brought up some companies that will be established exhibitions there, and there will be some pilot projects that will go under the center. Similarly, we are doing another center in the south part of India, in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, together with IIT Madras and with the Ministry of Urban Developing and under the Amrut mission. And once again, last May, there was here the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel, Mr. Eli Cohen. And following his visits, we will sign the MOU for this center, and hopefully we will start to operate them around August or September this year.
I mean, so given that you've had to work with multiple ministries, governments, state governments, from the side or the view of the government of Israel, what is the overarching goal for these kind of collaborations? Because the Israeli government has been working with the Indo-Israel Agricultural Project since 2006, now with water since 2021. So what is the goal with these various sort of projects and collaborations on the side of the government of Israel?
I think the goal are, three pillars for this goal. Is one, of course, to tighten up the, let's say, the relationship between Israel and India. So the cooperation with the government of India and the support of knowledge base to the farmer, to the ministry, to the different stakeholder in the water sector have going to give a benefit both for both states. In addition, there is pillars of economical development. We want that things will be done on the ground, not just by training people, but actual projects that will take place on the ground. So, for example, in part of my mission, I was working with different stakeholders in Amrut mission and the Minister of Jal Shakti to develop the concept of reuse of wastewater for agriculture. So in this regard, I was presented this concept that in Israel today, 90% of our wastewater are recycled and reused for agriculture. Almost 50% of water allocation for agriculture in Israel coming from recycled wastewater. This cannot be done in India in this number, but today in India less than 2% are recycled, and there is a huge potential to build year-round agriculture that uplift farmers around India and gives them the opportunity to cultivate 4 crop rotation per year with a lot more diverse and introduction of advanced agriculture method. So the income and sustainability and climate change resilience can take place on the ground. So what I did together with 2 states government, one is the government of Haryana and the other one is the government of Gujarat, we already identified 2 large-scale projects of 200 MLD each, one in Ahmedabad, one here near Gurgaon. And we will build, and will be a design-build project that will take into account a JV between Israeli company and Indian company, and establish a very large-scale irrigation project that will be based on recycled wastewater. So for the first time in India, we will build the full, would say, concept and the full project from the STP, treated water quality, in the city, allocation to the farmer, command and control center, advanced irrigation method, advanced and capacity building with the farmer, and in the end of the day, opening the door for a very large-scale market. And in this sense, I would like to say something about the Indian water sector. People think about India. They see it sometimes as a country that's still developing. I see it as the most powerful raising power around the world, and specifically in the water sector. The sanitation and the water sector developing, that done in the last few years by the government of India, are on an enormous scale. The Jal Jeevan mission, others, the Swachh Bharat and Amrut mission, transfer the life of millions and establish a new infrastructure all across India. This will be the largest sanitation and water supply market in the world. And I think the main, it's open up both opportunity as well as some needed, I would say, support in order that all this effort will be on the sustainable mode and in the most efficient way. So there is still a gap of closing some of the efficiency, specifically in the water supply and the irrigation and on non-revenue water in the urban setup. And Israel, in this sense, could be not the contractors that will do all these projects, but can supply the knowledge and the model and be kind of a beacon or light post in order that project will carry on the right track.
Fair enough. And from listening to how you've explained these projects, has it the focus of your term here, or the larger government, with agriculture farmers, or have you also looked at urban water management issues and sanitation issues, given that India is a large population in the urban cities?
From the government of Israel point of view, I was giving, the full credit to take this position as a first water attaché to any direction. I identified four major pillars of activity. First is the combination of agriculture and water supply. So I think the issue of, let's say, sustainable water supply and advanced irrigation is coming together. And this is something that we do in Bundelkhand, and we are looking in other projects as well. The other part was the issue of the recycle of wastewater and how sanitation and how STP will be connected to the agriculture reuse. And this we took a lot of opportunity and effort to build the concept, both in presented to the government in conference, as well as taking people from the Indian water sector to Israel to short workshop and training, and to go down with various states to identify which kind of project can take forward. The other two sections that I think Israel have relevant experience and knowledge is the issue of urban water management. Today, for example, we have another meeting in Amrut Mission discussing on a new project for introducing technology to the urban water management under Amrut Mission. There is possibility to look for new water supply scheme based on desalination, both on seawater and brackish water desalination. So in all of this aspect, we are working together with the federal and states government to identify specific project and support.
Now that your tenure is done, what is the future of the water attaché in India? Is there going to be someone new coming? Is this going to be a continuous effort on behalf of the government of Israel in terms of collaboration?
Yes, of course. The government of Israel is committed to this continuous of the presence of water attaché here in India. Actually, the committee was just yesterday selected a new water attaché. And probably quite soon there will be other person coming here to India and continue this work. We are already in the process of establishing this water center and some of these projects. So I think that will be continuous support and expanded to new horizon and to new initiative. But I already laid the base for a few ongoing activities that I think will be materialized in this year. And I would say that on a personal level, I met a lot of very committed people, both in the government and the private sector and the university. And I think there is a huge opportunity here and very important collaboration that is supported by both the government, public, and the academic and the private sector.
Thank you so much, Dr. Asaf, for joining us and sharing with us your experience as the first water attaché in India. That's the entire set of questions I wanted to have with you. And thank you for having this dialogue with us, and hopefully looking forward to seeing how India and Israel can collaborate in these kind of processes from agriculture to water going forward. So thank you so much for being here.